did Bassmaster just screw over 6 anglers in the state of Ohio? That is a question I have for you guys today. I recently came across a pretty crazy video from okbassin, and I want to take a look at it with you all today. And I need you guys to tell me, are the anglers in the wrong or is Bass in the wrong? Let's take a look.
I guess we're just going to go back to basically the beginning of last year. We knew that Ohio was trying this new format for qualifying for the national championship. There's 77 or 78 Bass Nation kayak anglers in Ohio. So with that information, we were told, the top 10% go to Texas, therefore Ohio will be sending 8 representatives.
So the claim that okbassin is making here is that there's about 80 anglers in Ohio, and the rep has told them that 10% of those 80 anglers are going to go fish the championship on Lake Fork in Texas.
All these people that are absolute sticks in Ohio punched our ticket. And with this, ever since we've been researching. There's been group chats. I've spent a couple $100 on new rods, reels. I'm about to order tackle. And you can't imagine my surprise when I get a text earlier this week. Hey, by the way, Bass is screwing us. They're only going to send 2. Sorry, guys. You guys are out of luck. So
it's not just him that's under the assumption they're going to send 8. It's other anglers as well. And he has to be informed by another angler that they're not going to send 8 guys. They're only going to send 2. So it wasn't even Bass that reached out directly. It was someone else in his group chat that texted him and said, hey, we're not going to Texas.
This started a basically multi-day long back and forth with the anglers, Bass, and our rep trying to figure out where this misunderstanding happened.
And you can imagine how he feels, guys. Imagine that you're 18 years old. You just thought you punched your ticket to Texas. You're super, super, super stoked. And then you have to find out, well, actually, you're not going to Texas. And he finished 3rd. The top 2 went. So he was only 1 spot off of making that trip to Texas.
Our rep thought we could narrow it down to this top 30% and still have that 80 number to go off of. But instead, we got narrowed down to 24 in the top 10%, which was 2 instead of 8. So Bass only took those top 2, Bobby Young and Josh Nickel.
So my understanding of the situation is these anglers thought that 10% of that 80 number were going to go fish in the championship. It ended up being 10% of the 24 anglers that fished in the Ohio championship. Now, how there was a miscommunication between Bass and the anglers is just beyond me. You would think that these rules for the tournament and the parameters for the championship would be set well in advance, but it seems to not have happened that way. And I actually reached out to Bassmaster for comment, and they never got back to me. So I'd love to tell their side of the story, but the unfortunate thing is they didn't respond, so I'm not able to give their side of what happened.
So this is at the point where we find out there is absolutely nothing we can do. The 6 of us, 3rd, myself, through 8th, are not going. That is final, set in stone. Nothing we can do. And this is when grievances started flying from myself and the others. There were kind of these 2 categories. It was this monetary, what are we going to do about this money? And then there's the stuff you can't even put a price on.
And that's exactly right. There's 2 categories, monetary and non-monetary. But I really want to get your all's opinion right here specifically. If you're Bass or you're a tournament director, what do you do in this situation? You've kind of misled these anglers to where they think there's going to be 8 going, but there's only 2. So I actually reached out to a predominant tournament director in the space, and he told me there's basically 2 options. If you think that 8 people are going from Ohio, and it turns out to be 2, what you have to do from the other states is you have to open that up as well too. So if there's 2 going from every state, then one thing you could do is say, hey, we actually misinterpreted this in Ohio, guys. So what we're going to do is instead of sending 2 from each state, we're going to send 8 from each state. So open up the field a little bit. But I want to hear what you guys would do if it was your tournament organization and a rep had accidentally misled these anglers to believe that there was going to be 8 slots when there was actually 2 slots.
I'm registered for this tournament. Like when you look up on Tourney X, the Bassmaster Kayak Series, I'm right there.
So not only did they think they were going, they were also allowed to register on Tourney X. Now, I can't say I'm completely familiar with how all that works, but The fact that he was able to register for this tournament is kind of ridiculous to me, guys. Like, if there's a list of participants in the tournament, those should be the only people allowed to register. And if someone else registers outside the tournament, it shouldn't let them, right? But clearly, right here on the screen, we can see that he is registered to fish in this tournament. And that just blows my mind. That's just wild.
Now, because I'm 18, and this is kind of a big deal, my parents wanted to see this. So my mom's going to fly from Columbus to Dallas, drive a rental car, and stay in a hotel pretty much just while I fish all day and be there to support me.
So not only is this impacting the angler, this is also impacting his family as well too, and most likely the family of those other 5 anglers that thought they were going to Texas and now know they're not going to Texas.
My entry fee was $418.95. My mom's flight was $407.09. The hotel was $397.45 for her for that X amount of days. Her rental car was $212.08. And my share of the Airbnb we had in Texas was $180. So right there is already over $1,600 invested into this by my family and I. That is not counting the $15,000 kayak I just bought with the consideration of, oh, I'm going to Texas. I'm going to be able to use this there. So, you know, I might as well splurge and use all the fancy electronics.
So to be fair, with the kayak, he'll be able to use that for years and years to come. And no one forced him to buy a $15,000 kayak. But when it comes to his parents, he has a valid point. His parents spent a lot of money. And even if they're able to get every single dollar back that they spent, think about the time investment that takes to get that money back. Think about the time investment that it took to book that and to figure that out. So for me, that's where it becomes a frustration, is even if they got every single penny back, the headache this caused and the fact that there is no repercussions or no solution that they came up other than we're sorry drives me a little mad.
As a group, the 6 of us are out close to $20,000. Now, will we get some of that back? Yes. Was this all preventable? Hell yes.
And I think he hits the nail on the head right there. Was this whole situation preventable? Should the parameters have been established from the very beginning? The rep knows, Bass knows, the angler knows. Absolutely. There is zero excuse from Bass for this miscommunication. And again, if there's another side of the story that they want to tell, I would be happy to listen to that side of the story and happy to tell that side of the story. But as of right now, we can only go based off what this angler is telling us.
Experience of getting refunds. Can we get this money back? I think the majority of this money should be able to come back, but this is something, the overall message was, why are we finding out the 3rd week of January for a tournament we qualified for the 2nd week of October that we're fishing a month and a half from now?
Guys, they fished the October tournament and they're just finding out in January that they're not fishing the tournament coming up in spring. That's crazy. That's crazy. October, November, December, January. 4 months it took them to find out that, hey, you 6 guys that thought you were going to Texas, you're actually not.
You know, at the bottom of this issue was the procrastination, not having this in writing, ironed out to a T before the tournament.
Hit the nail on the head right there, guys. Please tell me what you think in the comment section down below. I want to hear what you think of the whole situation, and I want to hear, if you were a tournament director, what would you do in this situation? How would you rectify and make it right? Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy this type of content, I'll put a video right here on the screen for you to click on. I appreciate your viewership, and I will see you all in the next one.